That was 1916, and that was from a song called Keep It Greasy from Joe's Garage, a Zappa song. It's the first time I ever heard 1916. Really, I hadn't heard much about it until I went off to MI, and one of the teachers there, Ralph Humphrey, played with Frank Zappa. I got the opportunity to study with Ralph Humphrey. We went through his book, Even in the Odds, which is a great book to go through, and it really introduced me to really most of the odd time signature stuff that I worked on was from that book and from his class. So obviously, at some point he mentioned, or somebody probably asked the question. I know my roommate Alex, who was from Germany, he was much more into Zappa than I was, and he probably mentioned Keep It Greasy at one point, or somebody did. And we talked about this 1916 thing, which was kind of foreign to me. But Humphrey breaks it down to where it's not a mystery. It's not even that difficult really to play. I've always found 9/8 to be more difficult than 1916. Not that I've ever really played in 1916. I've never had a song that I had to play 1916. But just from practice purposes and practical situations, I've probably played in 9 more than I've played in 1916. But and then the song also is in 21/16, which is also not really that much of a big deal either. But the concepts that I worked on in Ralph Humphrey's class and the book, Even in the Odds, once again, good book to pick up if you want to get into all kinds of odd time and understand it better. He used this counting method for 2 groupings of 2s, taka, for groupings of 3s, takata, and for groupings of 4, takadimi. I think Steve Smith has a video somewhere. I think that's an Indian counting method. I didn't know that from the Humphrey, from being in his class. I don't know that he mentioned it. Maybe he did. It's been a long time, so there are things I forget. But anyway, the point is that it's really simple if you stick to the 16th note counting method. If you're in 1916, so obviously 4/4, right? If we count a rhythm in 4/4, and we're counting 4-part counting or 16th note counting, if we count just a regular 4/4 rhythm, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. Okay, so that would be 4, right? But how many 16th notes are in 4? 16, right? So how many 16th notes are in 1916? 19, right? That's why the 19 is up there above the 16. So 1916 has 19/16 notes. 4/4 has 16/16 notes. So what do we have to do? We've got to add 3 more to it, okay? So in the Keep It Greasy song, now the tempo's flying, of course, and again, it's funny because I just did the Tool song, and I talked about I don't really like that song. I'm not really a big fan of Keep It Greasy either. I mean, I appreciate Zappa for the complexity of the music, but sometimes it just doesn't. I'm more of a melodic guy personally, so it doesn't appeal to me that much. But the 1916 groove is interesting, and at the speed that Vinnie plays it at, and the way it turns around, and then they mix in the 21/16, it's interesting as a concept. I don't think I'd sit down to it for a nice background music for a nice afternoon of barbecue. Again, don't want to necessarily always bring in food to the subject, but after your barbecue and you got a nice steak, you sit down, you have some music in the background. Probably not 1916, But anyway, different subject. But the concept of 1916. So again, 4/4, 16/16 notes. 1916, 19/16 notes. So what do we have to do? Well, first let's look at the groove. So the Keep It Greasy groove, I already played it, right? But this goes for anything. I know Dream Theater does some songs in 1916. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's 4/4 with 3 extra 16th notes, 21/16, 4/4 with 5 extra 16th notes. And then I'm going to talk about some simple groupings of 7s and 5s and 4s. and 3s that you can mess around with too. A great exercise is to just take 2 measures of 16th notes, look at it on a page, maybe pull out your old Ted Reed book, and just put some accents over the groupings of 5s and 7s. Now you can get much more, go much more in depth with this and complicated and do all kinds of things. That's fun too. But in case you're a little more, you're not as familiar with these groupings, I'm trying to give you more of a basic foundation of them to start with. Okay. So again, I'll probably have on the screen here. If we look at the Keep It Greasy groove, the general groove, without the last 3 notes, it would be this: 1 and a 2 and 3 and a 4 and. That's kind of the basic groove before we add those 3 16th notes. 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we count the 16ths, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. Okay, that's the basic 4/4 groove. Okay, so now what do we do? Well, now he adds basically a dotted 8th note, right? A dotted 8th note equals 3 16th notes. Okay, so he adds that, right, on the next beat of time after we're done with 4. There we have it. The dotted 8th equals 3 16ths. Now we're into 1916. Okay, well, sometimes that's hard to do right away to keep it empty and play it. Okay, because you're not hearing anything, keeping up those 16th notes. So I think a good idea to do anytime you're learning something in 1916 for those last 3 notes is put some notes in there and then take them out if the rhythm calls for that. Okay, so again, the Vinnie version: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. But sometimes it's hard to get the feel of the 1, 2, 3. So let's put 1, 2, 3 in. Let's put the bass drum in, right, with our hand, and then we'll put 2 of the 16th notes in with our left hand. Okay, so we'll do 1, 2, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1. Okay, so then you have the 1, 2, 3, and then you go back. So 1 E and a 2 E, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, 2, 3, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, 2, 3. Okay, that gives you a little more of a groove to follow. Again, if you're working on those foundational rhythms for more of my beginning students, people are just learning, this actually isn't that complicated to think about. Are you ever going to play in 1916? Probably never. Remember, we are the mole people, another video. But you do work on these kinds of things just for fun. Do you ever use them? Probably not, unless you're in a Dream Theater cover band, or maybe you're going to be auditioning for Zappa Plays Zappa at some point, and Dweezil's looking for a drummer. I don't know. Chad Wackerman probably still available, but at any rate, just for fun, for knowledge of odd time, it's fun to go over some of these things, and then more. After this, real fast, I'm going to talk about some groupings of notes with the same concept. So you have the 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, 2, 3. Or if you did the Ralph Humphrey counting method, takadimi, 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 takata, takadimi, 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 takata. Okay, that's the way Humphrey sort of taught us back in the day. So he played with Zappa. Not sure. He probably talked about the songs he played with Zappa. Like I say, Keep It Greasy was from Joe's Garage, and Vinnie played it, but it's been a long time, so I don't remember. But the concept remains. The groupings of notes, the 3s and the 2s and the 4s and so on. Okay, so now, if we take, let's say we switch that to 21/16. Now we need a 5-note grouping at the end of 4. So since we're working on takata, let's add taka at the end of that. Takata, taka, back to 1. Takata, taka, back to 1. So if we make it a simple rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4, and takata, taka, 1, 2, 3, 4, takata, taka, 1, 2, 3, 4, takata, taka, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we have 21/16 with a basic 4/4 up front. Now, obviously, you can get more complex because you don't have to keep the basic 4/4 up front always. But this is just a general guideline to help you understand the concept of it, okay? So again, the Vinnie rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and tack it to 1, 2, 3, and the 4, and tack it to 1, and the 2, and the 3, and the 4, and tack it to 1. Now, if we wanted to add those two extra notes to make it 21/16, 1, 2, 3, 4, and tack it to tack a 1, 2, 3, and the 4, and tack it to tack a 1, 2, 3, 4, tack it to tack a 1, 2, 3, 4, tack it to tack a 1. We can do something like that, and then we'd have the 21/16. So there you go. There's 19/16 broken down. 4/4 with 3 extra 16th notes, 21/16, 4/4, 5 extra 16th notes. Think of it in terms of 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a tacketa, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a tacketa. Or, again, wherever those groupings fall in your 21/16, you can break it down into groups of 3s, 4s, 2s, and figure out any of the odd time signatures. But since we're focusing on Keep It Greasy, because that was the first 19/16 I ever really heard, we're talking in the context of that. But again, I'm pretty sure Dream Theater does probably a 21/16 and a 19/16 at some point. So if you're a Dream Theater guy, go back to that, look at it, and break it down. Okay, pivoting into something that's not Keep It Greasy, but what I think is kind of some fun things that you can work on and get into these groupings of notes. Again, Even in the Odds is a great book to pick up from Ralph Humphrey. And he talks about these groupings of notes and 7s and 5s and things like that. So if we take those 7s and 5s, keep the context of 16/16 notes. So we're going to talk about a 1-bar drum fill, right? We got 16/16 notes to work with it. How do we want to subdivide those 16th notes up? We can subdivide them any way we want, right? We subdivide them into groupings of 4, right? When we do this fill. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 16/16 notes. We don't have to subdivide them into 4. We can subdivide them any way we want. So 4 quick ones that I use a lot. We're going to subdivide them in groups of 7, 5, 4 for the first one, 7, 7, 2 for the second one, 5, 5, 5, 1 for the third one, and 5, 5, 3, 3 for the fourth one. Okay, and these are just going to be simple drum grooves. I don't have set patterns for them. I just improvise them for the most part. I just remember the groupings. I don't remember necessarily the licks. That's just never been my thing. I memorize the groupings and then I feel my way through them. Okay, you might memorize the lick. You might memorize exactly every stroke and come up with a fill. That's just not how I do it. I'm more of an improv. I memorize the groupings and then feel my way through it. Different way of doing it. I actually like that way better. I don't like memorizing the exact sticking of a fill. I like to improv the fill because then I'm not beholden to the exact sticking at any given time. I can just feel my way through it because I might be feeling a certain way for a certain song. I've played these kinds of fills in Paul McCartney songs, Bob Seger songs. I've thrown in different mix and groupings depending on how I feel at that moment. Van Morrison, all kinds of things. Toad the Wet Sprocket. I could play these kind of groupings in any kind of 1-bar fill if I'm feeling that way. I think I did one of these in Night Moves once when I was playing it, and sounded good. I played these a lot in my fusion band, Double Forte. 551 I used to do all the time. It just fit for the song. So it depends on the song. So you have to work with that. But for the most part, if you get down the concept of the groupings of notes and whatever, 7, 5, 4, 7, 7, 2, you'll start to feel your way through them, and then you just play them whenever you want. Okay, so the Zappa portion of the program is over. The groupings, the Even in the Odds group is starting now with just simple groupings. Now, a good way to do it after you get it down is to keep your hi-hat playing the quarter notes, okay? Because then you kind of can feel those subdivided numbers going by of 7, 5, 4. Remember, my group's a 7. I'm going to count taka, 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 ta. Now, you could mix that up. Taka, taka, ta, taka. Again, you can do a lot of stuff with this. This is just a sort of a foundational starting point. So 7-5-4 is this pattern. Point you can say four-ianda because you know you're on 4. Okay, but whatever. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Tack, 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 tack. 2, 3, 4. Tack, 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 tack. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's 7-5-4. So let's do 7-7-2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Idea. Okay, now let's do 5-5-5-1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that was 5-5-1. Tack it, tack it, tack it, tack it, tack it, tack it. That one requires you, if you're leading with your right, to crash with your left hand. And the last one we'll do is 5-5-3-3. Tack it, 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 tack it. Now, obviously, you can add your bass drum into these. You can make them much more complex than I'm making them. That's for sure. Okay, so all of that stuff is a possibility. Just depends on how far you want to go with it. Okay, there's all kinds of options. Believe me, the book is filled. If you want to do, there's more than that book. I'm sure that book, again, still around. You could still buy it. It's still a great book. It still could take you through all of this stuff and so much more. But I'm sure there's other books too. So, but the concept is a simple one. It's just subdividing these 16/16 notes into whatever group, having a concept. And again, I'm using a concept of right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. You can do whatever kind of sticking you want. Again, and take it to a whole nother level. Adding in your bass drum. There's all kinds of different fills where you're using that as well. Groupings of 7s and 5s work real nice. Right, left, left, kick, kick. There's a 5. This is just an idea in case it's a little foreign to you, okay? But again, back, and then we'll finish it up. The Keep It Greasy 1916, the actual pattern, and I think it's probably around, I don't know, man. I listened to it the other day. It's really fast. It's got to be going at around 130 or something like that, beats a minute or something. It's flying. So, and then it's changing, and Zappa's singing on top of it, and you know, there's a lot going on. So it's an interesting song from Joe's Garage again. I don't know, late 70s. But anyway, okay. One. That's basically it. Practice, practice. Keep It Greasy from Joe's Garage. 1916. Not that difficult. Remember, 1-ianda, 2-ianda, 3-ianda, 4-ianda, 1, 2, 3. And there's your 1916. 1-ianda, 2-ianda, 3-ianda, 4-ianda, taka to taka 1. There's your 2116 if you want to count the taka takatas or taka to taka. Depending on what you want to do. It rolls off the tongue a little easier than counting 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Taka taka to taka 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 to taka taka to taka 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 to taka 1. And once you get used to that, you're kind of flying around and you're doing something. I think Steve Smith goes through this. It's kind of an Indian counting method. I think they use that a lot in Indian music, and they also, you can do some kind of thing with your fingers, and Steve Smith does it on some video. I don't know. Obviously, he got into a lot of Indian rhythms at one time, and it really changed the way he plays to some extent. I think he would tell you that probably. So, but at any rate, there you go. Keep It Greasy, Joe's Garage, 1916, 1916 in general, 2116 in general, and also 4 fills that are pretty easy to play, subdividing the 16th notes in groupings. One more time, 7-5-4 is a good subdivision. 7-7-2, 5-5-1, 5-5-3-3. Probably 4 that I play a lot in a lot of different variations. But they're very nice, just simply played. Keep that quarter note hi-hat. It'll keep you honest, or obviously put a metronome on. And it's fun. They're fun to play. Those, I think, you would use more often than actually learning the 1916 groove. But it's fun to say, hey, I could play a 1916, I guess, or 2116. And if you're into prog rock, there's probably a ton of songs that are in these weird time signatures. And again, just a little bit of a foundational tool to understand them. Even in the odds, a study of odd meters and rhythms for the drummer by Ralph Humphrey. Great book. Great drummer. If you're not familiar with Ralph Humphrey, check him out. Incredible stuff. Almost always blew me away anytime I saw him play. I got the chance to see him play a lot in school, on stage and stuff. And man, just out of this world stuff. So anyway, practice, practice, practice. Have fun. A little more complex, but then again, not so much either. Depends on tempo. Depends on a lot of things. Have fun with the fills. Work on the rhythms, and I'm not sure what I have for you next time. Oh, there was another Zappa. I think I mentioned 5-5-5, which is a thing where he does 5-4-5-8, 5-4-5-8. Which is kind of an interesting thing. Maybe I'll work on that. I've got some other things coming up, but anyway, like and subscribe. Hit the button, ring the bell, all that good stuff. I'm trying to do more of these more often. Trying to be a little more diligent with things, talking with some of the teachers at the school and seeing ideas that they have that students are talking to them about, and then trying to present them for the video. If you're in Chicago, Displaying School of Music, pop in. If you want to learn more about all this stuff, and food, as you remember from the last lesson, if you watch the Tool video, a heck of I think it was a Greek chicken that I mentioned. Uh-oh, I saw Tommy Aldridge the other day, still playing with Whitesnake at 70, doing a crazy solo, double bass, playing with his hands, all that stuff. Always was impressed with his hair, because obviously not always a big fan of hair myself. Not that I'm not a big fan. I am a big fan. I always appreciate a good head of hair, since I never had one. But anyway, Tommy Aldridge, still with the hair, still laying it down at the age of 70. Good for him. Practice, practice, practice. We'll see you next time.